Ladies and gentlemen, morning. All right, so, well, we're just doing a normal errand run to town. Not with that, but soon. I just got to get it paperworked. All right, so we're talking about BB, my Big Bertha, you know. Big truck, haul, tow pig, whatever you want to call it. 3500, 2019. Modified by moi. So let me tell you a little bit about it. As you guys know, what I already said, 2019 3500. It's got the max tow package, 410 gears, HO, ice in, all that fun jazz. Talk a little bit about it. So yeah, the ice in isn't a good daily driver trans. It's a little rough. You know, it doesn't know when to shift, doesn't know what it wants, when to do it, but that's okay. I just baby it and all that stuff, and it's my errand runner and all that stuff. So, that aside, it's an awesome trans to tow with. I love towing with it. So it drives fine. It drives perfect in that sense when you accept that the transmission shifts the way it does. So other things I did to it were, you know, comfort of life and reliability things. And so let's go over a few of the things that I have done, if I can recall and remember them. It is the soot cooker's gone, government juice is out of there. Also, since it was in 2019, I had the CP4, but hiding underneath there is an S&S diesel CP3 conversion, which took me about 6 hours to install. Not a problem. Was taking my time on that. The other thing was this guy, the AMSOIL bypass oil filter kit. And let me tell you, it's got about 8,000, 9,000 miles on it since the last oil change. And you rub the oil between your fingers, and I will show you on how it looks. So it's crazy how cool it is that it does that. So I'll show that to you later. Other things I did on the engine were obviously right here. That was a nice thing. Somebody commented that I was the only one that was able to put the billet plate, the Banks plate, in without taking the number 6 line off and the common rail log off, the common rail. So I took off all the other lines except for that one line, tweaked it up just a skosh to be able to get that billet plate in there. It was a very delicate maneuver because you got to get the gasket in there and then the plate. You know, if you jam it up, you can screw the gasket up and all that stuff. I don't recommend doing that because of the instructions. You know, instructions are, more foolproof. But I did it. I took my time. It worked. Everything was torqued properly. Just take your time if you want to do it that way. That's all I can say. That went all right. The other interesting things I did here were the EGR cooler. I left this on there because I just didn't want to split the coolant line. I might do that later, whatever. But as you see, I custom fabricated a little stopper here for the EGR. I know if the EGR cooler ever leaks, it can still go on the exhaust side. And so I'm not worried about it too much right now. I will probably delete it because it's just a lot of crap here I want to get rid of. So I did that. I have this, the bypass oil line coming from the filter, which obviously you can see somewhere down in there. But got it routed out of the way so there's no abrasion. Zip tie specials, the show stoppers there. So also, forgot about this guy, Banks Monster Ram. Fits beautifully, just as instructions ordered. So that was no problem. Still nice and clean in there. It does make it a little more noisy in cab. Some people like that, the turbo whistles, the spoolie boy. They like the spoolie boy action. For me, I'm half-half. I like, I'm getting older, God forbid. I like it a little quieter, but whatever. I don't want to annoy anybody. Also, on the soot cooker delete, I am not going to call it what it is. I'm not going to show you, but I do have a muffler in there, 4-inch. 4-inch all the way from the factory downpipe, from the turbo to the cross member. That's all left factory. past that, I used, I just custom fabbed a run-of-the-mill turbo back exhaust and used the over axle stock factory tube, and then I put a tip on it, you know, just nice and clean, and you know, no problems there. So yeah, not much to say other than that. In the engine compartment, I got the shift on the fly, all that good stuff. Setting number 3 works good for me. Now, the reason I did all this, other than hey, cool shiny stuff, was because I wanted to get better fuel mileage. This thing is, you know, my errand runner when it's not towing. Granted, I don't tow as much as with this thing as a lot of other people do. 10% of the time I tow with this thing, only 10%. So the other percent is, you know, getting stuff for the farm, hauling stuff in the bed, just, you know, errand stuff. You go out and you get little things here and there. I don't know, have a trailer attached. So it's an all-around runner. So I wanted to get the most fuel-efficient vehicle I could. So I did some calculations, and with all those upgrades that you guys saw, you know, the government stuff out of there, the Banks, Monster Ram. Oh, and I got boost tubes. No fun putting those suckers in. No. God. And, you know, that was another story. But yeah, so all that stuff I put in there to try to get the best fuel economy. My truck, which, you know, is, oh, don't mind the garbage. So this is a fuel tank, 87 gallon, only can get 77 in there, but if you guys ever wanted to know, the fuel box. So this tank adds a lot of weight. And this truck, as it sits, I had it on the scales, it was 9,000 pounds. So I pretty much run around with 9,000 pounds. And guess what? So I finally got my lead out of the foot, hyper miling it, you know, just cruising. I go up hills and down hills and all that stuff, so it's not all flat, barely anything. But you use momentum, 410 gears, slower speed, no highway, 45 to 55, somewhere around there. I'm scratching 20 miles a gallon, 20. So, which I really, really like out of this thing. My God, that's incredible. So I'm really happy with it, and knowing that I get better fuel mileage than Toyota Tacomas. Yeah, so that's awesome. All right, so that finishes up the engine compartment. So let's give you one last look, if you guys can see anything that I don't see or that you guys have questions on. So this is not a show truck. I've never, ever washed the engine compartment. Ever, ever, ever. Got to throw out those shout outs there. All right, close time. All right, so that covers that. Next thing is suspension. So the stock suspension on these things, you know, for weight, the weight goes down in the back, but the trucks in the front are just low. That's why they have leveling kits. Everybody knows this. But the stock factory suspension, when I go over certain bumps, this thing just goes whoom on the factory suspension. Love my sound effects. So what happens is I feel like the stock suspension always went down to just about reaching the snubbers. And I'm like, okay, well, the front axle's really close to the oil pan. Not worried about hitting it ever, because it's engineered like that. But God, it's really a big woof, floaty woof. And I didn't like it. And this on-road feel, bumpy roads, didn't like that much either. So I went with Thurin. I don't know if you guys can see that. Reservoir shocks, because I wanted the flashy goody. Also the ATS damper. That's the through damper. That's the rod goes all the way through, and the track bar. So that all went beautifully well to install. No problems there. Yeah, so the suspension, night and day difference. Unbelievable. I mean, imagine a graph, you know, a line graph going up and down, you know, peaked tops and bottoms, like, you know, a heart rate monitor. You know, it has sharp tops and sharp bottoms and all that stuff. All I can say is that this suspension really, you know, just smooths that out. Of course, there's still movement and all that stuff, but it's just it just smooths out the rough curve. So much better than factory suspension through and through. Other things down here, let's see, reflection. Okay, so Banks diff cover, why not? you know, I was at 30,000 miles and I was like, I'm going to change the oil. Shoot, I got to pull the whole rear cover off. Okay, well, I knew that. So I bought that so I don't have to do that again. Don't like doing that. There's the factory tip and all that stuff. Keep it dirty, you know, riding dirty. So, yeah, there's that. Don't mind that. Woohoo! So, I don't know. I'll give you some in-cab impressions on all the stuff. I'll also show you what stuff I run in the cab. Yeah, just so you guys know and what I got. All right. All right, we're on the cockpit station. So let's give her a start. And what we have here, because I bumped. All right, so you guys will see I have an Edge CTS 3, I guess. So I'm gonna, you know, show you my parameters: boost, top left, cylinder rate, below that, throttle application and battery voltage on the left side. Right side is injection timing, VGT position, fuel rail pressure, and intake air temperature. Middle is obviously engine speed, and gear selector and torque converter lockup. So those are the ones I use. And I mean, the cylinder fill rate, milligrams per stroke, I guess is what they call it. That allows me to, you know, have fuel efficiency. So I keep it below 40, which is barely touching the throttle. Allows me to save a lot of fuel. The other stuff, VGT position, fuel rail pressure, injection timing, that just shows me what I demand of the engine and what the engine gives me. So I use that, and I always run the coolant temp, trans temp, oil temp, and pressure. That's what I always have. You see 33,394. Yeah, so that's how many miles I have on it. So not a super high amount. Yeah, let's just go for a drive, and I'll talk more on the way. All right, alrighty. So we are on our way, and forgot to mention another reason why I put a leveling kit on this. This is the totally level 2.25 inch. So you know, if I have a trailer, I'm just a little sagging. I might get airbags, but the reason I got it is because I do a lot of not off-roading, so to speak, but like to look at jobs. Some of the roads are pretty gnarly, and I use four-wheel drive all the time. So I was getting pretty low in the center because, you know, obviously this is a long truck, and you know, I was actually scraping the transfer case a little bit. So looks like we got road work here somewhere. So yeah, good fun time. So yeah, I did a lot of off-roading, and now I feel a little more secure. We'll just drive a little bit, but yeah, so it's mainly these kind of roads, curvy. You've seen time lapses. Yeah. All right, another question I want to answer that hasn't been asked: how do I run my exhaust brake settings? My exhaust brake is always on full. So, of course, it's shifted to 6th gear, but yeah, I always have it on. I'd feel weird to drive without it. Yeah, so always on full. All right, we are just leaving the post office. So yeah, a lot of bumpies, a lot of angles. Never a flat place. right, ladies and gentlemen. Traffic. Traffic is where the transmission sucks and is very clunky. So, what I've experienced is a shift between second and third and fourth when you're barely giving it any power. So it really sometimes wants to just shift into the damn transmission or the gear, and it sometimes it hurts. I don't know why it does it, but that's the Aisin transmission for you. So be aware of it. Put the gear limit to, I say 4 or 3, so it doesn't go beyond, and kind of control it. So, but yeah, downside of the Aisin, it doesn't like traffic, unloaded, barely stepping the throttle. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, so yeah, we did a little video here and there and talked about the upgrades. So please let me know if there's any other questions. Happy to answer them. I will have links in the description below to all the other videos of this truck, and feel free to peruse those. And as usual, I appreciate it, and thanks for watching. Aloha.